Upon initial observation, this aircraft may appear more otherworldly than human. With the firepower to wreak complete havoc on the ground, the recognizable triangle form and whisper-thin design can fly nearly unnoticed into and out of hostile skies. This lethal aircraft is the B-2 Spirit, popularly referred to as the stealth bomber. The B-2 Spirit is a very captivating aircraft on several levels, beginning with its extravagant design. It is a graceful and elegant aircraft that stands in stark contrast to the sheer chaos it can unleash. Having recently turned 31, one might assume that the B-2 Spirit is approaching retirement age, or, at the very least, taking a back seat to more modern aircraft. But that isn't the case at all. The B-2 Spirit is still one of the most feared aircraft in the world and a vital part of the U.S. Air Force. The fall of the Berlin Wall and the subsequent fall of the Soviet Union meant that, like many military hardware assets created in the 1970s and 1980s, they were sent into service in a radically different environment than for which they had been intended. If you look at how the Cold War played out, long-range stealth bombing attacks on Soviet sites were always a little implausible. But starting in 1991, the long-standing adversary vanished almost completely. It was extremely costly for the U.S. military to be in that situation at the same time that the most advanced bomber the world had ever seen was developing. Due to its high expenditures, this lengthy development procedure was going to be controversial. By the middle of the 1970s, stealth technology was starting to become apparent. Contrary to popular belief, the F-117 and B-2 are not entirely imperceptible to radar. They're not totally invisible, but their design makes it very difficult for opposing radar to follow them. Two different businesses received contracts in 1975 to start working on the stealth technology. With a little bit more speed right out of the gate, Lockheed created the F-117, popularly known as the stealth aircraft, while Northrop, which was already working on classified technologies in Area 51, went on to construct the B-2. It was becoming evident by the late 1970s that developing a long-range strategic stealth bomber was not only feasible, but also achievable. Ahead of his contest against Ronald Reagan in the 1980 presidential election, U.S. President Jimmy Carter faced a daunting challenge. The Carter administration said in August 1980 that the U.S. was in fact building a stealth aircraft, maybe in an effort to refute the challenger's frequent accusations that the Carter administration was a weak defense minister. As you are undoubtedly aware, it was ineffective, and Reagan won effortlessly. After a year, the Advanced Technology Bomber (ATB) program got underway, with two distinct teams, Northrop and Boeing on one side, Lockheed and Rockwell on the other, vying to construct the first stealth bomber in history. The Northrop design was selected on October 20, 1981. However, due to a shift in the mission description, the design was modified from a high-altitude bomber to a low-altitude terrain-following bomber. A mere tweak resulted in an additional 2 years of development time and a whopping $1 billion, that is $2.4 billion today, to the total cost. The F-117 and the B-2 are sometimes mistaken for one another because they both have a threatening futuristic look and are similar in shape and design, which at the time was determined by computer algorithms to be the ideal for stealth flying. At least throughout development, the type of project made the most effect. The B-2 was constructed as a gray project, which meant it was semi-secret, but much more commonly known about in contrast to the F-117, which was regarded as a black project, the sort of dubious, hidden project that only a small number of people genuinely knew about. Before being permitted to go near the former Ford factory in Pico Rivera, California, which had been bought and extensively renovated to house the B-2 development teams, personnel working on the B-2 were still needed to swear an oath of secrecy and go through a rigorous background investigation. Naturally, everyone was eavesdropping on everyone else during this period of intense political espionage. After being discovered almost 25 years apart, 2 Northrop personnel were put on trial for selling secrets to other nations. Currently serving a 32-year sentence, Noshir Gawadia was captured in 2005 for selling secrets to China, while Thomas Cavanaugh was detained in 1984 for transferring B-2 intelligence to the Soviets and only released on parole in 2001. On November 22, 1988, the B-2 made its public debut at U.S. Air Force Plant 42 in Palmdale, California. Although the media was not permitted to snap pictures of the aircraft's back, the now famous image of the plane taken head-on showed exactly how very thin the new stealth bomber was. Aviation Week learned that there were no flight restrictions on the airspace above the base, so they flew a plane overhead and captured an espionage photo of what the Air Force was hiding: the suppressed engine exhausts, which lower the exhaust temperature and make it even harder for the plane to be tracked. More on that a little later in the video. As you can undoubtedly understand, despite the enormous sum of money that went into development, everyone was generally happy with what they saw. Research and development expenditures alone totaled $23 billion in 1989, or $48.2 billion in today's economy. The General Accounting Office said that the total cost of each aircraft, including software support and replacement parts, came to $929 million, or $1.5 billion today. That was a lot of money to be spending, but as long as it kept the feared Soviets at bay, that was all that counted. This is where things started to shift, though, since the necessity for these planes was instantly questioned once the Soviet Union was dissolved. 132 B-2s had been ordered in the middle of the 1980s, but by the end of the decade, that number had rapidly dropped to 75. President Bush declared in 1992 that there would only be 20 B-2s issued, announcing that the world was facing a completely new scenario. What remained was the addition of a final B-2, which had been a prototype model, approved by the Clinton administration. With 2 exceptions, Spirit of America and Spirit of Kitten Hawk, named for Kitten Yaw, the location of the Wright brothers' first controlled flight in 1903. All 19 of the aircraft had state names that came before. First and foremost, this plane is attractive. Its well-known triangle design is derived from a Northrop aircraft, the YB-49, which was tested in the 1950s. The 2 aircraft share a 52.4-meter wingspan. A large portion of B-2 is composed of a composite material comprised of carbon and graphite, which has the advantages of being lighter than aluminum, stronger than steel, and very effective at deflecting radar. And while we're talking about radar, the B-2 is about as stealthy as they come, with a claimed radar cross-section, RCS, of 0.1 meters squared. Since the B-2 is still heavily classified, we will have to settle for the fact that it does not always operate in the same stealth mode. I suppose the shape of the B-2 is based on the infinite flat plate shape, which is generally thought to be the ideal design for a stealth aircraft. However, it appears that a stealth up mode can be activated as the aircraft approaches its target. If you examine it attentively, you will notice that it is made up of several rounded surfaces and curves that come together to create a single, stunning, yet lethal design. The form is just one of several factors that contribute to the B-2 stealth. The shape is known as continuous curvature, and it was only made practical by developments in computational fluid dynamics in the mid to late 1980s. Together, these diminished acoustical, infrared, and optical capabilities, resulting in a multispectral camouflage effect, which may be used to disguise the aircraft in order to avoid detection in a variety of ways. The exhaust is a little different, as I said previously, and it doesn't use afterburners, which would enhance the infrared signature and the likelihood that it would be heard or seen from the ground. Should you believe that the color is merely coincidental, consider this. The dark gray anti-reflective paint is intended to make it difficult for the human eye to identify as it blends the plane to the color of the sky, especially when it is nighttime. The four General Electric F-118 GE-100 engines are tucked away deep within the fuselage, reducing the infrared signature even further. The aircraft is equipped with a crew of two, consisting of the mission commander seated on the right and the pilot on the left. Although adding a third crew member is an option, it is not often implemented as of now. In some instances, the B-2 missions have gotten through 40-hour-long missions that surely numbed the butts of these pilots. The aircraft is highly automated and equipped with kitchen and restroom facilities. With a length of 21 meters and an empty takeoff weight of 71,700 kilograms, the B-2 weighs nearly precisely the same as the Space Shuttle Endeavour. When you consider that the aircraft does not have afterburners in its engines and that its maximum speed is just 1,010 kilometers per hour, or, in fact, it is around 7 times slower than the US X-15, an absolute rocket. With a precise figure on how many bombs the B-2 can carry, it can carry 16 nuclear bombs, 36,340 kilogram CBU class bombs, or enormous 80,226 kilogram class bombs, like the GBU-38 or Mark 82. In 1999, the U.S. claimed that the B-2 was responsible for destroying 33% of Serbian objectives in 2 months during the Kosovo War, marking the weapon's global debut. To give you a sense of the amount of payload that the B-2s can carry, during the war, NATO conducted 34,000 flights, of which they participated in just 50. Additionally, 11 of the ordnance that landed was under their control. During the Balkan crisis, 6 aircraft engaged in a true marathon combat, flying for 30 hours straight from their base in Missouri to Yugoslavia. However, that was insignificant in comparison to a mission in Afghanistan during Operation Enduring Freedom, where a B-2 aircraft successfully completed a 44-hour flight from the United States to Afghanistan and returned. They have also witnessed fighting in Iraq and, more recently, Libya, when 2 B-2s bombed an ISIS training camp in 2018 and dropped massive precision-guided joint direct attack munition bombs weighing 108,226 kilograms, killing 85 terrorists. The first strike occurred during the final days of Muammar Gaddafi's rule. Although no B-2 has ever been destroyed by enemy fire during combat operations, one did crash in 2008, not long after takeoff. Both the pilot and the commander were able to escape the aircraft safely. It was later discovered that the accident was caused by buildup of moisture in the port transducer units of the aircraft, which measure air temperature before sending the data to the fly computer. The B-2's advanced stealth design revolutionized aviation. Its radar-absorbing materials, shape, and coatings minimize radar cross-section, allowing it to penetrate heavily defended airspace undetected. This technology has influenced subsequent stealth aircraft, including the F-22 Raptor and F-35 Lightning II. The B-2's impressive range, over 6,000 nautical miles unrefueled, enables global reach. It can strike targets anywhere on Earth, making it a crucial asset for deterrence and power projection. Future long-range bombers may build upon this capability. The B-2's ability to carry precision-guided munitions, such as JDAMs, enhances its effectiveness. This precision has become a standard feature in modern military aviation, impacting both bombers and fighters. As part of the U.S. nuclear triad, the B-2 plays a vital role in deterring potential adversaries. Its nuclear mission underscores the importance of strategic bombers in maintaining global stability. The B-2's combat deployments provided valuable operational insights. These lessons inform the development of future aircraft, influencing tactics, maintenance, and survivability. The B-2 program pushed boundaries in materials, science, avionics, and propulsion. Innovations developed for the B-2 have applications beyond bombers, shaping the broader aerospace industry. In summary, the B-2 Spirit's stealth, range, precision, and strategic impact have left a mark on aviation. Its legacy will continue to inspire advancements in military and civilian aircraft for generations to come. If you liked this video, this next aircraft will fascinate you, so click here now.